So, after playing MechWarrior Online for several years, I've developed a set of principles that I keep in the back of my mind when I'm playing. Now, I don't always end up abiding by this, and I will readily admit up front that some of these commandments, for lack of better words, aren't going to apply in every situation. However, they are general principles and general guidelines that will normally lead you to a greater likelihood of success in a given match, battle, whatever the scenario is. They apply whether you're doing quick play or you're doing faction warfare, and no matter what the size of the team is. So, without any further ado, here is Supersmacky's MechWarrior Online 10 Commandments. Commandment 1. Thou shalt work as a team. Maintain synergy. Keep unit cohesion. Focus your fire. Target the enemy. Use comms. Support a push when it comes. Use your own personal situation awareness. You are on a team and the battle is not up to one individual. Everything and everyone has a role and is important to winning. This game, more than many others that I've ever played, is very much about team cohesion and team focus. The teams that work together generally win. Calling targets, focusing fire, staying together, setting up good battle lines. The teams that don't communicate, the teams that have players going off on their own, don't have an overall tactical idea of what's going on, those teams, more likely than not, are going to lose. So work as a team. Don't think that it's this set of players or this particular group that matters. Even the best player in the game is going to depend on his teammates to be somehow functioning cohesive with what they're doing and vice versa in order to get a victory out of the match. Commandment number 2. Thou shalt know thine enemy. Learn about the different enemy mechs. You learn what it means if a particular mech is moving fast or if it's slow. Learn the capabilities of a given mech. Watch what the enemy is doing and how they are deployed. Information is power, and the more you know about what you are facing, the more likely you will be able to defeat it. This applies both within the match and before you ever sit down to play. Within the match, targeting, observation, situational awareness will help you to understand what you are dealing with in the immediate. Outside of the match, a general concept of the different mech, IS versus clans, the weak points, the loadouts, etc., is something fairly easy to learn and will help you once you've actually dropped in a match. Commandment number 3. Thou shalt use mobility. Don't devolve into World War I online. MechWarrior Online has more in common with modern warfare than World War I and prior to that. Don't endlessly sit in your trench while the enemy sits in theirs. Generally speaking, the first team to push prudently in that situation will win. A moving mech is a harder target than a stationary one. A snapshot on the move is better than no shot. Even moving at 40 kph is better than being a stationary target. It is harder to flank an enemy that is constantly on the move. It is harder to counter an enemy push when you can't clearly define the boundaries between your team and theirs. One mech on the move can appear to be 2 or even 3 by using their mobility. More times than not, the less mobile team is also the losing team. Number 4, commandment number 4. Thou shalt be sneaky and fight unfair. Use every dirty, underhanded trick in the book. Feint, flank, distract, get numbers advantage, set ambushes, wolfpack, use arty on clusters of enemy, out-ton, outgun, whatever it takes. There's no rule in MechWarrior Online that says you have to fight one-on-one, front to front, and even odds. Shoot out legs, take back shots, block them from being able to move or back up. Anything and everything is fair game within the game. Commandment number 5. Thou shalt build your mech for a role and mission, then play that mission. Don't try to build a mech to cover every possibility on the battlefield. The old expression, jack of all trades, master of none, comes to mind. Generally, mechs that are built this way are not effective, or are minimally effective. Just because it worked once or twice for you does not mean you have a good build. Likewise, in whatever build you run, don't try to fulfill roles in a battle that your mech was not intended for. You may end up in a position with no option, but if that is the case, then the battle, or at least your part of it, is generally over already. If you are a short-range brawler, build and play that way. If you are a sniper, avoid getting into close situations where your effectiveness decreases or disappears. Don't try to fulfill the scout, brawler, sniper, harasser, tank, fire support role in one mech and or one match. It can't be done, and it can't be done effectively. Referring back to commandment number 1, you're part of a team. You can't carry everybody. You can do a lot of damage and have a good match, but you need to be focused on a given aspect of what a match needs. Commandment number 6. Thou shalt not mistake timidity as a tactic. Just because you have a good, safe position and are getting occasional trades with the enemy, don't mistake this to mean you are winning. Generally, the more timid team loses. If you have been in the same position for more than a minute and the enemy is the least bit more aggressive than you, they are likely pushing in on what they perceive as a weak flank and passivity by your team and a lack of coordination on your behalf. Once your team has consolidated, you should be looking for the opening against the enemy and taking advantage of it. You get no points for unscratched paint, having all your components, or ending the match with most of your ammo left. Be judiciously aggressive, get the initiative, keep it, and win. Commandment number 7. Thou shalt not peek an enemy with superior position, firepower, or numbers. If the enemy has any 2 of these 3 things, look for a different angle to get at them. Even if this means backing up, taking the long way around, calling in more support, etc., whatever. If they get the better of any peeking than you do, it is time to either wait them out, use your mobility to get a different angle, or launch a major push by your team. Continuing to peek from the same position repeatedly when you are not able to get the edge by doing so only leads to the enemy either crippling or stripping you, thus making your team less effective. Commandment number 8. Thou shalt not chase the squirrel. The squirrel is there for a reason. Either they are trying to lead you into a trap, distract you, get you to do team damage, spotting for his team, or raking in easy hit and run damage. Don't ever assume the pilot of the light is just being stupid. Don't give up facing the direction where you know the enemy is in strength in order to hunt down a light. If you chase them off, be satisfied with that and return to your lines. And don't chase a squirrel if you are not in a mech that can compete with them in at least 3 of the following 4: mobility, speed, firepower, or toughness. Speaking as a light pilot, I am happy to die drawing off 3 or 4 heavies to chase me down right at the point my team pushes in the enemy line. Those 3 or 4 that see my squirrel and think, oh, stupid light, easy kill, are of no benefit to their team and ultimately will cause their team the match. Unless the squirrel is an immediate and direct threat to you and your team, let him
I
go
think we'll
and
do a lot
leave
better
the
if we have
job
like
to
5
those
extra
in a position and
points.
suited for dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Commandment number 9. Thou shalt not make unfair trades. Much like Commandment 7, if you are trading with the enemy and are not getting the best of it,
Hmm.
stop. Take two mechs of equal capabilities.
Yeah, I
If
didn't get
every
shit.
time you trade,
Yeah, I didn't get
they are able to get one more point of damage on you than you are on them, you will lose. If you are
That's
spraying
a
your damage,
lifeline.
but they are able to pinpoint, you will lose.
Ooh, pirate,
If
you
they are
were in
gaining
bad shape, man.
support
Oh,
but
I
you
was
are
hurt.
losing support, stay out of the trade. Unless you
No,
can
but I had some
effectively
serious
dish
pain.
out more damage
Hey,
than
definitely
you
helps
are
if you keep crab
taking,
or something.
don't count on luck to help
It's
you win the
Also
trade.
do.
You will lose.
Timberwolf.
Timberwolf. Plus,
And commandment number 10. Thou
Timberwolf with
shalt not
shellfish.
be a hero. I'm not talking about
I just
reckless,
saw Doctor
foolhardy
flying
behavior,
through
and I'm not
buildings and stuff.
suggesting
That was
cowardice
a
as an
quarter mile or
alternative.
whatever it was.
Referring back to Commandment 1, MechWarrior Online is a team-oriented
Timberwolf are
game.
pretty
There
fast.
is no place and no situation where a single
Yeah.
player wins or loses the match.
They're
Yes, in
reloading.
some matches, a
Why are they
given
running
player
across
will
the
do
hall?
better than others,
I
but
killed them
their
both.
situation
Scary.
is the result and direct result of everything accomplished by your
Oh,
team up
everything's
to
jammed.
and after that point. They may have had a great game, but it doesn't mean they won it by themselves. Ask yourself this: could player X have done the same thing if it were just
Yep,
them
such a good
versus the
flank going
whole
on.
enemy team? While I have seen some very good players, there has never been a situation where only one member of the team did anything
I have a
or
cannon rifle.
everything. Everyone
That's
else
enough for shield.
just sat back and powered down, and they were able to beat the
I
enemy
am.
team single
Fuck is
handedly.
he coming?
Charging in without support only gets
Oh,
you killed.
Nice.
Being the only flanker is generally ineffective. Face tanking the enemy
Damn it, Artie.
ultimately
Artie.
ends up with you being wrecked, crippled, or
Right.
dead. I am not
Oh,
referring to leading a push,
shit, I don't know. I'm confused.
strategizing, being a
Night vision
distraction,
something in
or
here.
doing
Careful.
something that gives your team the advantage. I am referring to the concept
You see
of
it now?
either
Like,
one, well, we are going to lose anyway, or two,
it's not like I need
Oh,
I
it.
or
hi.
my mech are so good I can take them
Ah,
all. The best mech in the game can be taken down by a headshot.
GG kite.
It is not your role or anybody's role to be the hero or the sole victor
Uh,
for the team. So, with that, what do you think?
We're the
Do
last.
you agree or do you agree or disagree with these? Do you have other ideas? Keep in mind that these are just general guidelines and may not apply to every situation. As I said before,
no.
I'm not the most competitive and not the best player in the game. But I do believe that these general 10 rules, if you keep them in your head and when playing as a team, you'll find that you have more successful matches, you have more wins. There's a big difference between the way I play now versus the way I played when I started and the people I used to play with. I have a lot of experience of bad learned behavior and thinking that I could carry a match by myself. And now I've learned a lot more. And so this has kind of evolved out of that. So if you have any comments or additions or suggestions or you just want to talk about it in general, feel free to comment and share with me. I'm just putting this out there for the community. I hope you enjoy and good luck on the battlefield. Bye bye.